Okay, guys, so even though the A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is not doing anything right now, it's still a good time to speculate about who could play Freddy Krueger if it's not going to be Robert Englund. Now, Robert has said that, maybe like a video game kind of thing or something like that, but just nothing where he's like physically there because he's just not really, feeling the role. And yeah, he's a bit of an older guy now. So the way I feel about it is put him in a mocap suit. They put Nick Castle in a motion capture suit for the upcoming Halloween video game. So you could do something like that and you could, digitally create him through that motion capture suit. And then all of the Nobody But Robert crew would have what they want. You'd get exactly what they want. I also think there's a talented young actor named Jared Bankins. He was on the first season of Twisted Metal, and he's got a very angular look, praying mantis like, even just a little otherworldly. I really like his look. And then also just the character he played on the show was somebody that took sadistic joy in the torture and pain of others. And I was like, well, those are Freddy Krueger qualities. This guy would be great. But everyone's always going to speculate. There are people like want Richard Brake and Kevin Bacon, even though those guys are in their like 60s or 70s now. Not much younger than Robert Englund, or maybe just right about the same age. But here we've got this article from Alex DiVincenzo of Bloody Disgusting. The headline reads, Dream Warriors director Chuck Russell thinks Jim Carrey could play Freddy Krueger in a new Elm Street. What do you guys think about that? I mean, I love Jim Carrey as a performer. I know there's always going to be people that just sort of see him as the jokey comedic guy, rubber face, just too out there and too over the top. But also he has dabbled in the dramatic and more serious, darker movies as well. So, I mean, I think Jim Carrey's got a lot of range. I think maybe he's a little too old. I want to see somebody in their mid-30s start to play Freddy, not someone that's in their 50s or older, But I don't know. Let's see what this article says here. I'm curious to know what you guys think. If you're in the live chat, let me know your thoughts there. If you're watching after the fact, jump on into the comments. Let me know what you think about this idea that Chuck Russell has of Jim Carrey. Like, I can see it. So let me know your thoughts on that, or if there's somebody else that you think could play Freddy. And I want to hear some legit, we already mentioned Richard Brake, we mentioned Kevin Bacon, and no Bill Skarsgård. Like, I want a hot take or a deep cut, not this obvious stuff. No Evan Peters either. Like, really stop and think, because Robert wasn't a star when he played Freddy. Is there an actor right now in their mid-30s that you're like, man, not a lot of people know about this person and they'd make an awesome Freddy? Let me know down in the comments section below, and let's check this article out. So there we got a picture of Jim Carrey from, I believe it was The Number 23 is the name of that movie. Yep, there it is. And yeah, that's one of his more serious, darker roles. So this article says, Chuck Russell, director and co-writer of the fan favorite sequel, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, is interested in returning to the world of Freddy Krueger, especially if he can reunite with stars Patricia Arquette and Robert Englund. Quote, I'd love to do another Elm Street if there was the full support of everybody, Russell told Dread Central's Development Hell podcast. Patricia Arquette has said she'd like to do it again in the press. Very interesting, because she didn't talk about it a lot earlier in her career. She was so terrific and went on to have such a great career. I think that's a good idea too. I still think Robert, for me, is the only Freddy. Were I to be involved in a new Elm Street, A, I'd be delighted, and B, my first goal would be to get Robert involved. With Englund having gone on record as saying his Freddy days are behind him, Russell thinks Jim Carrey, with whom he collaborated on The Mask, yes, that's right, Chuck Russell not only directed Dream Warriors and the remake of The Blob, he also directed The Mask. Russell thinks Jim Carrey could pull off the iconic role. Quote, Jim, in my opinion, could almost do anything if he puts his heart into it. For Jim to do it, we'd have to do something that was another leap in the Elm Street series, a little bit like what Wes did with his very meta New Nightmare. I think Jim would only consider it, and I'd only consider harnessing Jim if there was a bold new direction for Elm Street. Yeah, I'm right there with him on that one. I think you've got to take it in a different direction, especially if Freddy's going to have a totally different look like that, you know? So, yeah, let's see here. The article rounds out just by, reminding us that Russell recently returned to horror with a reimagining of the 1986 horror cult classic Witchboard, which you can check out on VOD. And there he is chit-chatting. The Dream Warriors movie got a 4K restoration on that beautiful box set that just came out. So there's our shot of Chuck Russell there. Still rocking and rolling, looking good. But let's go ahead and just zone in on Jim Carrey's eyes here as we talk. Again, I would like somebody that's a little bit younger. I would be down for this if they did it. I mean, I'd really be down for Patricia Arquette coming back to the franchise. I think that would be awesome. Like her and Heather Langenkamp, I really want to see them return to A Nightmare on Elm Street. Anytime there's a big name involved, though, with playing a character like Freddy Krueger, I think it's really difficult. I think sometimes you want your audience to not be thinking about the roles they've played or what we know about their personal life, which is why I like the idea of casting somebody that's up and coming, or somebody that's just totally under the radar. That's where my mind is when I think about ushering in a new performer to play Freddy. So yeah, I don't know, not against Jim Carrey. I love him as an actor and everything, but I'd rather see something fresh and new for sure. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know in the live chat if you're kicking it with us right now. If you're watching after the fact, jump on into the comments. Let me know your thoughts down there. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Maybe hit the hype button and see if we can gain a little momentum as we finish out spooky season. That would be great. We're covering horror news all the time on the channel. So movies, TV shows, comic books, video games, whatever, random, not even fan castings, but director castings like this story here. So as long as it piques our interest or tickles our fancy, we're going to cover it right here on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing.